All right, we're back at Fighter Nation with Termite Watkins. We're going through the rounds of success, both in life and in business. And the next one that Termite's going to talk about is bob and weave. What does it mean to bob and weave?
You know, in boxing, you bob. Let's imagine a fishing cork. It goes up and down, okay? And the way I tell my fighters is that imagine if I had a ball right here in my hand. And if I was doing this, it'd be a little harder. If I asked you to grab it, it would be a little harder to grab. But if I start doing this, bobbing and weaving, now it gets to be really difficult. And sometimes in a boxing match, maybe you've been sticking and moving, maybe you've been running, maybe you've been aggressive, whatever. Sometimes maybe the opponent's just getting after you where you got to start bobbing and weaving. And it's the same way in business. Sometimes you just got to bob and weave in business.
Right. The way I think about it is we need to be agile. We need to be able to move around. We don't want to be a static target. And we've seen this in a couple different businesses I've been involved in. Whenever we start to become too stagnant, everybody follows us and they start doing what we're doing. They'll identify that we're one of the first companies to start looking at bolt holes, that drilled and tapped bolt holes and studding outlets. We stopped pricing them per hole. We started really looking at machine time. We realized that there's just enormous amounts of profit. I mean, ridiculous profit being made on this stuff, and it didn't need to be. So we started pricing them as the actual machine time that was required to put the drilled and tapped hole in these studding outlets. Sorry, I'm getting down in the weeds. But what happens is everybody else starts to realize that and they follow us. Well, we could just sit there and go, well, we boomed up in studding outlets. Now we're kind of leveling off again. Well, it's like once everybody identifies where you're at, they just start pounding you. So you have to kind of move around. You have to find another thing and not get too in love with one thing that works. So, and that to me is the way that we kind of stay agile, protect the defense, be aware of the defense.
And I think that all companies need to learn how to bob and weave, because if you just stay stationary, if you do the same thing over and over and over, you're going to eventually get hit and something's going to hurt. But if you bob and weave, learn how to roll with the punches and the bob and weaving, you'll miss a lot of those punches.
Sure. And early fighters, and I've seen this in your gym, when you have new fighters, the first time they spar, they're just like sitting ducks. I mean, they just don't move around. You're like, oh my God. And you hopefully pair them with other people who aren't just going to light them up for doing that. So, but that's one of the things you do see when you put a seasoned fighter in with a beginner. And I know this from being a beginner and getting beat to death by standing still. You just can't stand there and take it.
So in business, it's really no different than boxing. You got to learn how to bob and weave. You got to learn how to move. And I wish all of you good bobbing and weaving.
All right. Thanks a lot, Termite.